Hi, Laolu. Welcome to Design Talk with Chuma. It's my conversation series with friends like you, who I call thought leaders, leading designers from across Africa and we just basically talk about interesting design topics and work from all over Africa. I know you to be a very versatile designer, and I know you have quite quite an array of skills, and how you would end up defining yourself is up to you. But yes, let's meet you today talking about the evolution of publication design. So I would really, I know it's maybe a bit limiting to you, but let's do justice to this topic so that people can learn from what we're saying. So yes, let's meet you. Tell us your name, what you've done, and your experience so far.
Thank you, Chuma. It's a great honor to be here to share with the world what we're talking about. My name is Laolu Obende. I just said that like James Bond, James Bond, but my name is Laolu Obende. I like to call myself a hybrid designer because I sort of function across several spaces, and I've enjoyed, or for lack of a better word, enjoyed several definitions. You walk into some offices and they call you a certain thing. You walk into this place and you enjoy another sort of endorsement. So I prefer to see myself as a hybrid designer, mainly because the core skill there is, it's just being creative, and I'm able to apply it across several disciplines, from normal graphic design to painting, publications, web design, UI. I mean, it's really just one principle that we're just evolving across several spaces. So I'm a hybrid designer. I run Levitate Creative Studios. Is something I'm highly passionate about, a project I'm highly passionate about. Actually, the funny thing is, I sit back and I look at Levitate. I remember, why did we set up Levitate in the first place? It was mainly because I was frustrated that people thought, really, really good designs, for small businesses was ridiculously expensive.
Okay.
And that was where it came from. It was giving smaller businesses the same level of professional creative work that your top tier agency would deliver at a much affordable rate, and even pricing structure and payment structure completely different from what your top tier agency will be ready to do.
Okay.
And that was our entry strategy. We knew there was no way, with the one-man army, we were going to start shaking tables with, at that time.
Okay.
So it was an issue of getting in, working with everybody. We worked for everybody, big agencies, small businesses, big businesses. We worked for everybody. And I look back and I think, that's really something. We probably didn't identify it at the time as a thing, but Levy was born out of that passion to deliver creative work at an affordable rate, and we're still doing that till now. We've designed over.
Is your price still affordable?
Oh yeah, absolutely, Chuma. I tell you, I'm not even kidding you. Like we have we have. We don't have a one size fit all rate card.
Price,
We don't have that. We have rate cards that are applicable to different creative needs. Whether it's a small agency or a big agency, the need you need is the need you need that needs to be costed. And that is what
I like that quote. The need you need is the need you need. I'll just bookmark it somewhere. Okay, so let's dive into the topic of the day. Let's even define what is publication design. As dictionary definition says that publication design is the practice of creating layout and graphic design for printed matter. Now, you and I know that this thing has gone way beyond printed matter. So let's take a journey. Let's take a user experience of where we started. I like what you mentioned about Levitate and how you're breaking it, your entry strategy. of giving creatives at an affordable rate, and then working for agencies. And I guess you must have done a lot of work that around publication design. So yes, here it is. Publication design is practice of layout and graphic design for printed matter. Is that definition still valid today?
Chuma, you know what? Let me just correct something. Yes, in a sense, but it doesn't sort of really define it, you know, in totality. Yes, it's for print matter in some degree. I mean, to some degree, but not entirely. For me, what I think publication is, let's just step back to why was there a need for publication in the first place?
Okay.
Why was, I mean, things were happening all over the world. I mean, I'm just imagining back in the days when men were probably wearing tiny leaf or raffia palms around their waist. You know, things were just happening, and some people say, you know what, we have to sort of document this thing first. Do you understand?
So we are talking about, you want to talk about the eras of publication.
Yeah. I want to talk about, you know, how I see it and how, you know, it defines our approach to what we do with that, right? So it comes from a need to tell a certain story. That's really what publication is about. Printing just was a form, you know, that telling the story took. You know, the thing is still the story. You want the reader to take out a certain experience from it, you know.
Yeah.
So I think what is important is for us to understand why there's a need, you know, to publish things, first of all. You know, when we sort of understand why there's a need to publish things, it sort of puts us in the right mind frame to sort of understand where publishing is even headed, right? And how prepared we are for that. You know, so the first thing we need to understand is it was to record stuff, to document stuff, right? Things happened, so they had all sorts of, you know, handwritten, you know, the scroll using ink and feather to sort of, you know, the story down.
Early days
for people to consume, for people to know that, okay, this XYZ stuff happened, and this was how, you know, they sort of try to use words to paint up a picture for the user to know that, oh, you know, it's like when you hear the Bible story, right? They sort of paint a picture how, you know, a nail was driven the hand, and when I heard the hammer hit the toing, you know, you the reader sort of draw a certain picture, and it sort of has some sort of magnitude to it, you know, whatever that person.
Giving imagery to thoughts and messages and content and all of that. Yeah.
So when you understand that, you realize the issue of publication design. Publication is supposed to tell a certain story. Any publication at all, you're telling a story to the reader. Okay. Something happened here. This is what happened. Does the reader take away what happened, or it takes out something entirely different? You understand? Yeah. So these are some of the you know, scenario around publication, and that is when you now talk about printing as the definition of publication. Printing is just a form. I mean, the internet is completely changing that definition because right now, I mean, I don't even think the print industry can compete with the internet when it comes to the issue of publication. The internet is taking over everything. So how do you want to say print a certain layout that will be printed is what's called publication? No, I don't. I think the definition is insufficient. It probably was made maybe 50 years ago, but today we have to sort of look at it differently from a different lens.
So taking up from there, I just put out that definition intentionally so that we can take our listeners on the journey. So now we have clearly put it out there that publication has gone beyond printing. The intent of publication is to actually document stuff that people can then reference to. Now, from what we see, we are beginning to see a multimodal or multimedia approach to publications. We have magazines, like I mentioned to you sometime, like the Red Bull magazine, that you can actually just scan off images from their magazine, and then you just scan and it just converts to video on your phone, and then you just get to have a 3D video experience of that event.
Sure.
And again, as the world grabs on technology and moves on to the digital space, and we have more data and ability to transmit a lot more content on a wireless level, we are beginning to see that publications are taking on a new dimension. So from there, I would, you being a versatile designer that you've been in practice from the time that publication was defined as for printed matter, or maybe towards the dying end of it, and now that it's moving into a whole new world, a whole new, permit me to use I call it the 5G world. 5G world. I've done a lot of publication design work. I know I have a magazine that I do for my community back in Anambra State. It's called Hamatan Magazine, just a roundup of community happening, news, professionals from just my hometown. And it's been, as a magazine, it's been successful in terms of our consistency and content that we put out. So I used to do as part of the team working on About Time, the in-house magazine for Vedant Zero Marketing Communications. I've done lots of brand guides, which are classified as publication. But just to mention, for FCMC, the hospital with the Index Ebola case, I was lucky to be the one to create their own identity guide. Of course, the apex bank of the country, the CBN, I happen to be lucky enough to have also done that. And a lot of it. And today I do a lot of publishing and publication work in Barreno. So tell us, I mean, you have quite, I don't know, there's just a lot. I know you do annual reports, you do coffee table books. Just give us your journey.
Okay, I think I'm madly in love with data and numbers. Like, I'm madly in love with it. I'm madly in love with fonts. I'm madly in love with, all of that play. So when I see, I mean, I've been collecting magazines for time immemorial, if I'm on a plane or in a lounge or whatever it is, I just lay my hands on it. I keep it because it's just a place, where you sort of dive into the storyteller's mind, trying to understand why did they use this font here? Why did they use this here? Why is this, particular inset looking this way, or why is it looking that way? And when I hear, things like, they have all these pull-out quotes in magazines where a certain area is highlighted in bigger text or in bigger font, thinner fonts, the different weights, the interplay of all these different characteristics. I fell in love with that stuff way back. And that sort of defined my passion for publication design. I mean, until maybe 3-4 years ago, this is when we sort of made publication design a unit in our business.
Okay.
Because we were now getting, like, excuse my French, shitload of it, and we had to respond to that ASAP to, develop a unit in the office to sort of take care of that. And my journey is really influenced by data. How is the best way to put this data in a way that a layman sees it and he gets it? That is what just gets me in, where publication is concerned. And when I'm also, talking to my team about publication design, it's almost like, should we just close shop and do only publications? Because you seem to be more passionate about publication than anything else. Yeah. Yes, it comes from that. I don't like data misuse. There's a fantastic data that could be a fantastic infographic. Why is it a paragraph? Why is it a mere paragraph somewhere? Can't it have been, expressed differently in such a way that people can enjoy this information? I mean, this itself is keeping record of something, and that's really what drives me, to publication design. Yeah.
Okay. What would you classify as your most challenging publication design work or brief so far?
Ooh. I think for me, apart from just laying out the book, I always like to have like a conceptual bit to publications. So,
Yeah.
and that really is where the task is for me, not the actual, laying out of the information. Is the cracking of the context, the
Okay.
concept of that publication
Okay.
that it sort of, that's where I prefer to use my brain, right? So that's what we decide. That aspect that will decide how the data will be laid out. Are we going to be using normal pie charts? Are we going to be using hand-drawn watercolor type data? Or are we going to be, it's from the conceptual bit for me that takes my time.
Okay.
And once I'm able to crack that, I mean, that has to be directly plugged with the vision of the brand and what they want to achieve from that publication as well. Not just, oh, we have this letter, take, oh, throw it inside the app, select font 14, 15, press print. No, not of that at all. It has to come from somewhere where, we have to identify, is there a conceptual bit to tell this story, right? Your company is about it's a social enterprise. Oh, okay, great. So you want anybody that reads this to sort of feel the human aspect of this business. Oh, okay, great. So if for someone to do that, you have to connect to what are these elements that are going to make someone see, this report and know that these people are about this sort of thing. So you sort of archive those in a place, start building your assets, and then you present 2-3 directions for your clients. They pick one or two or merge three, and then
As
you
the
now
case
go
may
into
be.
as the case may be.
So
And then
if I get you correctly, you are very more captivated by the process of creating communication design, the concept, the design theory, the rationales, the
yeah, sure,
idea you want to put out. Yeah. So
yeah.
okay. And that would mean so I get where the passion is coming from. I get a lot of it. So yeah.
Yes, I guess that's where you see. That's where you are able to. There's this thing about us, right? About artists, where um, if you don't involve the thinking part of the business, you end up doing 2 reports for 2 separate businesses, and they look the exact same,
Exactly.
right?
I agree.
And if you're not careful, you become tired of the process because there's really nothing to innovate about that process, right? You just jumped in and you jumped out. They say another brief comes, you jump in, you jump out. So when you show yourself 2 reports from your office, from your guys, your team, you realize they are the same thing.
Yeah.
Then you need to start thinking of a way to evolve that process into something that you enjoy. And that's why we can't even mess up that bit. In my business, there's a thing we call the bricks. Bricks is our design process, right? The B is definitely, identifying yourself, unraveling the brief from the client or what they need and all of that. R is research. And all that. For me, the I beat, the inspiration beat, my guy, is deep. Is deep. That part you've got to every job has its narrative, right? If we cannot get a narrative for every job, then every other job will look the same. And we have to spend time on that, trying to make sure that the story, what the takeout has to be from a reader perspective, has to be unique to that particular process. And it's like, I mean, we drive that home steady 100% in most of in the publication design that we do. So yeah, publication it's come a long way. There's a lot of room, and I mean, hopefully, in your coming questions, we can address those.
In a nutshell, publication design is way beyond printing. It goes as far as posters, magazines, fact sheets, journals, manuals and handbooks, brochures, interactive multimedia magazines, and I dare say all the LED digital screens that we have, they are all publication. Yeah.
I think, like I said, it's a story, right?
Yeah.
There's a story that needs to be told. There is a takeout that you want your user to have after engaging that content. Today, there are several platforms, there are several channels to expose publications, right? So for me, it's like, where are we headed, in terms of this whole publication design? What really is it, right? We are still printing, Shomolu is still heavy, is that the whole experience? Does it really tell the full story? What is it, right? So I think it's a meeting point. There's a meeting point.
So I was going to ask you, now that we know what we know, what is the outlook? I mean, we've just seen something that I would call a sudden decline in the need for event spaces, right? Again, the backdrop of what just happened. Anybody building event halls, I don't know. I mean, we'll come back to business as usual, but it won't be business as usual. I've heard about a funeral that was done via Zoom, had about 1,000 people, and people are talking about how much that was saved from not having a physical burial, because it was a prominent person that died. We've seen weddings over Zoom. So what is the future outlook of publication design? I mean, what we are doing now is publication design. We'll put this out there. For now, I would have to come to meet you or you to me. Yeah. There's a cost of driving, cost of renting cameras, cost of manpower, and the time and all of that. But here we are, we're just doing it over the 5G wireless. So what is it? Is it a viable? Do you think I think it's a viable area. I just think we need to innovate.
I think the innovation is maximizing the channels that are available right now.
Exactly.
To tell a story.
Exactly. So what is the future? What is the future outlook? Where do you think we should go from here? Being someone that is very, very neck deep into publications design. I mean, you have an arm of it at your.
I think it's like I was saying, it's a meeting point for several other design disciplines, right? There's something I call it the integrated publishing experience.
Yeah.
It's a mix of several things, right? It's a mix of, while we're having this conversation, right? What is happening at the back of this conversation, right? There are apps. The apps could be transcribing what we're saying now. Chuma said this, who said that, this said this, that said that. We're out of this meeting, we have the text, right?
Yep.
In less than 3-4 hours, we have a blog post, right? Less than that, we have tweetable facts that we've covered.
All of that,
right?
Content, several layers and forms of content.
Yeah, there are links. Behind those links are other experiences, other videos, there are other things. So there's got to be a story to it, right? And the future of publishing has to be defined. It's not going to define itself, right? The standards that we see today are standards that were designed to exist, right? So the future of publishing has to be designed. We have to decide that, okay, great, guys, for everything that happens, for every event, for every gathering that happens, this must happen. It has to be transcribed. it has to be exported, it has to be designed, and it has to be linked, and it has to be published, right? So that's where the mindset has got to be, and that's where the evolution will come, right? Wow. I mean, when you were talking about a report that you saw from Red Bull or something, and
Yeah,
this kind of thing,
that was even years ago.
Many years ago, and it goes into this experience and all that. These days, we even have VR, right? So it's not just about an experience, right? There's just one experience. There's just a wedding or a conference or an annual general meeting or, a party, right? But just that event, it has a publishing angle to it. It has, the social media angle to it. It has all this other network of multi-layered channels to it. But at the end of the day, publishing design should not just exist as one arm, telling a half story. It has to sort of combine all these different things to tell the same story, that a user engages the content, he immerses the videos, immerses the tweets, meets the authors and the participants and all other stakeholders via links. That it's a more connected approach to publication, and it comes from the fact that you want to tell the user a story of what happened. It doesn't end in a brochure anymore. It doesn't end in a flyer anymore. It is an experience that you want to give this person, and we've got to highlight that. We've got to realize that it's not on its own any longer. It's got to play a role in telling a general story to the user. And if we all identify that that's where we need to be, I mean, starting from this event that we're having right now, we can put it to test and see the engagement we get from it. And from then on, who knows? We don't necessarily need another COVID to tell us that we need to evolve this, and this.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah.
Fantastic. Nice one, Laolu. You've just taken us to a place I didn't even envisage. So publishing design really has to do with record keeping. Yeah, record keeping has to support storytelling. And this brings me home to us, right? Us as Africans, us as a people that our major part of our history, like a huge part of it, was oral, and that as a form of publication design, oral design, it's amenable. It's open to being misinterpreted, and there are errors. And at the end of the day, we have a society where there's a loss of identity. So I'm beginning to see publication design as something that we can use to preserve our identity by keeping records and by telling stories. Not just the right stories, but putting out all the stories. Everyone will have their own story out there. And if you are lucky to be a person that is blessed with that skill, or you've trained yourself to have that skill of being a publication designer, be it print, be it digital, be it oral, you need to recognize that, I'll call it spiritual call, spiritual responsibility, that you need to you need to take notes down, basically, and you need to fulfill that obligation of ensuring that the next generation knows exactly what happened, and you need to put it out there. So clearly it's a viable venture, viable business. I mean, you are making a lot of money from it.
Hey.
No, don't worry, nobody's going to kidnap you. I also like the multimodal nature of it, and in truth, we are beginning to see technology that takes one content generation platform and splits it. I mean, like this Zoom now, by the time we are done, the text is ready, the video is ready, and the audio is ready, like instantly. I mean, it's amazing, it's fantastic. So yeah.
So if you have that content, for example, then you realize if you have that content, you realize the software is put to better use, right?
Exactly.
You don't have a software that you just input text, you output an A4 item, right? I was just telling you about some of these possibilities around the software these days. It's like everything is taken into consideration. The destination for most of this will be, a computer, an iPad, or a phone.
Yeah.
That's it.
Different devices.
Right?
Yeah.
So the software already takes that into consideration. You have, you're just designing a normal layout, and you can either flip it horizontal or landscape, or portrait, right? So if the software has that capability, what does it mean? It means it's from a user angle. You can hold your iPad like this, or you hold it the other way. That means the content should be able to sort of, morph into whatever the orientation is. So it means the layout designer or the publication designer should have already created
you already
that sort of
mind
flexibility into the design. That if it twists this way, I'm fine. If it goes this way, I'm still all good, right?
Okay.
And you have the video. So the software also allows you to plug in the video, right? So anybody that comes across that post or that publication not only reads it, he's able to download and keep it, and also watch the video. That's there's nothing to print there anymore now. So you're telling me that the headline says doctors in Edo State demonstrated because PPE was not enough to fight COVID, and you read the content, you've seen the catchy headline, you've seen the first paragraph or whatever, you've read it, you've clicked the video, and you're actually seeing them doing the whole
makes it more believable.
It makes it it's a better story, right? It's a better story, and technology sort of fuses all of that together, and we've got to embrace it, so we don't sort of alienate the concept of publishing design as something in print. No, we've got to bring it to the table, put it at the heart of all the different channels, right? It is the same blog, it is the same layout, the same thing that you would have printed that is now on
a digital platform.
So once it's on a digital form, let's enjoy it. There's a video, let's see the video. If we can interact with the video, even perfect, right? So get all the experience out of it, because we're just trying to tell a story, really. We're just telling a story to the user. And if we have that at the back of our minds, I believe publication designers will be much more effective in putting out their content.
Okay. I was going to ask you the last question, but I think we've done justice to it. Laolu, it was very nice talking to you. Thank you. I can see you are in your studio doing your painting publication. All right. I hope that I'll speak with you again on something else, being that you're a versatile designer. Maybe next time we'll be talking about culinary design. Who knows? So, yeah, so thanks for giving me your time. And yeah, bye-bye.
Nice one, man. Nice work.
All right.
Cool.
Better.